Tonight on Showtime, the Shobox series continues. In the main event, we have Dmitry Bivol versus Samuel Clarkson for the right to be called the interim WBA World Light Heavyweight title holder. Now, Bivol comes in with a record of 9-0, 7 knockouts, and he's another one of these guys from the former Soviet bloc, like Vasily Lomachenko or Artur Beterbiev, or guy we saw last week, Alexander Usyk, who basically are being fast-tracked in the professional ranks because they had the big amateur careers. So he's being moved. He's being moved at an accelerated pace. Clarkson, on the other hand, is 19 wins, 3 losses, 12 big wins by knockout. And to his credit, he's a 2-time Texas Golden Gloves champion as far as amateur fighting goes. So with Bivol having somewhere near 300 amateur fights or so. Both of these guys have knockout power, with only 2 opponents surviving Bivol's onslaught. And Clarkson, he stopped hot prospect Jerry Odom. I believe that was also on Showtime at one point. And he also stopped another prospect who I believe was undefeated or had 1 loss, LaVarn Harnell. And in addition to that, Clarkson also upset Cedric Agnew. I'll call the other 2 fights upsets too. He also upset Cedric Agnew. And if you remember that name, his Cedric's only loss was to Sergey Kovalev some years ago in Atlantic City. So as the competition is going up, Clarkson has impressed, especially with those 2 stoppages of Odom and Harnell, for sure. Now, Bivol he beat the very durable Robert Barrage, and Barrage is a veteran of I'd say about 35, 36 fights at the time. And he also stopped Felix Valera, who was undefeated at the time. And so those are 2 decent names on his resume. Now, he's only had 9 fights. So what does each guy have to do? Well, in order for Clarkson to win, he has to box. He has to use head movement and feints. For Bivol to win, he has to apply constant pressure and cut the ring off when Clarkson is on the move. Now, a few things about each guy. There does appear to be some technical flaws that each guy can exploit or be exploited because of. Either way you want to say it. They can exploit or be exploited by. Let's start with Bivol. Sometimes when Bivol throws his right hand, and to an extent his left, but mainly the right hand, he keeps the hands dropped. So it gives Clarkson some opportunities to counter with sort of a looping left hand to the head. And if he throws it with any kind of authority, he might be able to score big and maybe even hurt Bivol. If you take a look at the fight that Bivol had with Barrage, Clarkson's style, well, Barrage's style, I should say, gave Bivol all kinds of trouble, which Clarkson, if he viewed that tape, he should attempt to mimic. And so I like the work that Barrage was doing, but then he got caught with a shot and he goes down. Okay? Gets up, everything's fine, but instead of sticking with what was working, he just for some reason decided he was going to start slugging with Bivol, and so he began to brawl. And while he landed some shots, he was getting clipped big time, and eventually when you have a lefty-righty matchup, a headbutt occurred and opened up a big gash on Barrage, and the blood was bad enough that it was deemed that he couldn't continue, and Bivol won the fight on cuts. In Bivol's fight with Valera, he also gave Bivol trouble, and that fight went the distance. And what he proved is that Bivol can be hit, and if not outworked, he can be out hustled. There's a difference. And in Clarkson's case, I think he has this sneaky right hook that if Bivol comes in hard, like he's certainly going to do, Clarkson can kind of angle him into the shot, as he did with Jesse Hart, when he fought Jesse Hart on the Friday Night Fights a while ago. He caught him with that shot. Hart came in and he walked him into it. So, and it was a right hand. So and it also must be mentioned that even though Clarkson is a southpaw, he's a natural righty, and that could be key. If that sneak right hook is there for him, like he caught Jesse Hart with, he can load up on it and maybe cause some damage. Now let's take a look at Clarkson. One of his technical flaws is that he falls in at times, and he kind of leaves himself very susceptible to the uppercut. Another thing I noticed about Clarkson is that when he starts throwing combinations, he gets extremely wild, W-I-L-D, and extremely wide, W-I-D-E, when he punches in those combinations. He should settle down. If he has this guy hurt, I know what he's going to do. He's going to go for it. If he does, he's going to leave himself open. So those are a couple things to watch out as far as technical flaws for each guy. On paper, I wasn't really sure how these styles would mesh. However, I get the feeling that this fight could be explosive. Part of the reason is that Bivol wants to win, but he feels as if he's pressured to do it impressively so he can get a shot at one of the other light heavies. And he's spoken about that, like, I need to do it impressively, which obviously means I'm going for the knockout. Clarkson, on the other hand, he moved his camp from Texas to New York for this one, and just based on his commentary, he seems bent on not doing too much what I mentioned earlier, like boxing and moving. He's been training for attack mode. He's going in beast mode for this. Now, we know Bivol will be aggressive, even if it's a bit of a cautious aggression. He's going to be aggressive. And if Clarkson is ready to go to war, as he indicated, I mean, we could be in for an explosive main event. So stay tuned. Some other notes. Bivol's two opponents that I mentioned earlier were both southpaws, and so is Clarkson. So Bivol's been prepped for this southpaw style, and even if he wasn't in the pros, if you have 300 amateur fights, you've seen some southpaws, I'm sure. Clarkson, another note. Clarkson has won 9 in a row, and for this fight, he's been sparring with Joe Smith Jr. and Shawnee Monahan. Joe Smith Jr. of Bernard Hopkins fame. So, what do we think? Well, I wouldn't be surprised if either guy went down in this fight. The scenario I envision, however, is Clarkson deviating too much from the boxing and moving game plan and getting dropped. However, if Clarkson survives one knockdown or even multiple knockdowns, and the fight moves on, and he changes his game plan to actually box, move, throw some feints, use the ring, I wouldn't be shocked if he won some rounds after recovering from the knockdowns, because I think the style he has potentially could give Bivol trouble. In the end, I like Bivol to win this one. The reason being, if Clarkson does what I envision, this fight could be a shootout, and which should favor Bivol. However, because it's a shootout and pride becomes an issue, and pride comes before the fall of a man, my feeling is that Clarkson might fall in love with his power a little bit, and in essence it's going to cost him in the end. Now, if he survives knockdowns and switches the game plan, then maybe we'll have a little something interesting late in the fight. But something just tells me if that scenario takes place, he's going to go for it. I mean, he views this as his big shot, and I'm going to ride with him saying, okay, forget the boxing and moving. I'm going to exchange big punches with this guy, and I think it'll cost him unless he exploits the aforementioned technical flaws of Bivol and catches him either with that looping left hand as Bivol drops his right, or with that sneak right hook as he's coming in. Clarkson kind of angles off and then just boom, it's quick. So quick that if he scores with it, you'll have to see it on the replay and say, oh, that's what he got hurt with. And again, I'm going to ride with Bivol in this one in a possible shootout. I just think whether it's short, whether it's long, whether it's medium, what have you, I just sense that the fight is going to heat up at one point and the gloves are going to fly and both of these guys are going to go for it. And the jabbing, the moving, the boxing may be abandoned, even if it's for a brief time in the fight. I just think there's a potential for some fireworks in this one. So make sure you follow us on Facebook at The Fight Journal. Make sure you go to thefightjournal.com, type your email address in, and all of our videos, all of our audio, all of our interviews, all of our stories, press releases, everything we get will come directly to your email. Most importantly, please make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's absolutely free. It won't cost you a thing, folks. See you at the fights tonight. Also in the co-feature, co-feature's not bad either. We got 2 undefeated guys. got CARLOS SOTO taking on a kid that I know, MALIK, ICEMAN, HAWKINS. And this is what Showbox is all about. 2 undefeateds, preferably from different parts of the country or different parts of the world, coming in to see, who's always going to go, who has what it takes to step up from the, let's say, prospect to contender type of level. So this is what Showbox was designed to do. So that's a good matchup in the co-feature. We got off TV. We have Travis SEVEER Reeves. He wins here, and then he has a fight, I believe, in Australia in a couple of months for a version of one of the belts. Also, Hasim Rahman Jr. makes his professional debut on the undercard. That's on the non-televised portion. So if you can come to MGM National Harbor, come tonight. If not, enjoy the fights on Showtime Shobox. And who knows, maybe if the fights end quickly, we'll get to see some of the it's a triple header, but maybe we'll see some of the non-televised portion. So we'll see, but it should be a good night of fights. The televised portion starts at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern tonight, so if you can't make it to MGM National Harbor in Oxon Hill, Maryland, then a beautiful venue too, beautiful venue. And it's not the MGM is huge. However, the arena, the theater where the fights will take place, there's not a bad seat in the house. Believe that. And parking is free. Huge parking garage also. So if you can't make it, make sure you check the fights out tonight, Friday night on Showtime. We'll catch you on the next one.